Hey everyone, welcome on board
Hello.
on our second episode of Founder Flops. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And I'm going to give you the stage. Sandra, we can start with you. Just a quick introduction, round of introduction, and then we can dig into the flops.
Sure. So very quickly, I'm gonna keep it very high level. Name's Sandra. Currently, I'm the CEO of MetaMinds Group. We're a metaverse and XR company, so spatial web, focusing on AR, VR, mixed reality, and everything that has to do with bringing engagement to life in the virtual world. My background is so we were having this discussion before we started, but my background is in tech initially, but I have a mixed background between marketing and advertising and tech. So I was always in between, kind of switching between being more commercial, being more tech focused. Personally, I consider myself more on the business side of things. I like technology and I understand it, but I'm not a day-to-day developer or coder or anything like that. So my career kicked off in to where I am today, I guess you could say in 2019 when I joined Zilliqa, which is a layer one out from Singapore. And I was responsible for kicking off their NFT and metaverse department, which now turned into MetaMinds eventually. So
Interesting. And I mean, how long have you been in the UAE?
honestly, I kind of go and come many times
Yeah.
a year. So I don't really, I can't put that into numbers, maybe like 2 years or a year or something like that.
Okay.
But actually living here is a bit difficult to, accumulate into numbers.
Yeah. So you haven't started MetaMinds from here, right?
No, so MetaMinds is a UAE based company. But
Yeah.
obviously, a big part of my role is to travel around and be commercial. So the commercial side of the business, networking, attending events, and all of that. So there are plenty of times where the UAE is our base. Most of the team is
Yeah.
situated in the UAE. Actually, all of the team is in the UAE. We have our CTO who's in London. But for me personally, I do tend to be kind of in and out quite a lot.
Great. Thank you for being with us today.
No, thank you.
Sumit, shall we go to you?
Yes. Hi, I'm Sumit. I'm founder of Antifragile Technologies. We build softwares and sell them as per the use cases. So, literally, whenever I get a use case, I find my own problem. I search it out in the market if that same problem exists and who is solving them. I check that software or that solution out. But if there are a lot of things that are missing that can be improved or can be added on, then we start building our own softwares. So that's how Antifragile Technologies is built. It's a kind of an umbrella of so many different type of softwares, ranging from website builders to e-commerce builders to e-commerce lead generation, email finders, and even analytics, which is our next upcoming product to know what's happening on your website to the point. So that's how it works at Antifragile Technologies. I'm based in Dubai from last, you can say, it will be 5 years in this November. It's been yeah, total 5 years. And
5 years.
yeah, 5 years. And Antifragile Technologies started back in last year, 2024, in March. And so far, we have built like 8 softwares, and we are all selling them based on, you can say, subscriptions and outreach. So that's what one or two parts that we'll be discussing today, that what flopped into our customer acquisition. And we are a complete 100% bootstrap company as of for now. So the way we started, the way it works is we find a solution until unless we are not 100% sure that there is a present ICP for that particular solution that we are building. We build it just for in-house as a hard code. We don't make it into, like, we don't productize it. To productize it, we set out signals. So that's where my marketing background comes in, to find out if it's just my ping that I need it, or there are other people talking about it on Reddit, maybe on Twitter, that some things, these types of stuff is needed. So that's how we do.
You guys don't know about Sumit. So I have this love-hate relationship whenever I jump on a call with Sumit, because whenever I jump with him on a call, like he either gives me a lot of ideas that I didn't want to think about right now, because I have my own strategies that I'm working on. But his
Right.
ideas are so good that I go like, should I stick to my ideas or should I just start shifting a bit? And he's the guy for me where like, hey, Sumit, you know what? I'm facing that issue. How can you solve it through tech? This is who Sumit is for me. Sumit, thank you for being here with us today. I'm quite sure you have a lot to share today. Youssef, we'll go to you now.
Hi everyone, so I'm CEO at Wrenev. We specialize in electric vehicle charging software solutions. We help businesses who are installing charging stations to be able to seamlessly operate them. Using our software, they would have full insights over the network, how many users are being charged, that are being charged on their network. They can even manage the electricity load and everything that basically has to do with the energy management system on the charging stations. We started in Lebanon. I'm based between Lebanon and Cyprus, and it's actually my second venture. And we're proud to say that RenEV was bootstrapped for like a year and a half, and we've done well. We created the full technology. We got like big enterprises in Lebanon as our clients. And right now, over 200 electric drivers are utilizing our application in a very small market like Lebanon. So it's actually fascinating how people are utilizing on a day-to-day basis our technology. And we also have big ambitions to move outside. I come from a technical background where my major was computer science. I worked a bit in development, then switched to full business when I started Insabil and RenEV. I enjoy mostly the business side of things, but do enjoy also learning more about technology and staying up to date.
Youssef, what's your number one target when it comes to expansion? I mean, which country would that be?
Right now, we're focusing on Jordan, then Saudi Arabia.
Okay, interesting. Great. Youssef, as well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for joining today. I mean, we as founders, our biggest challenge is acquiring customers. We all have and implemented different strategies. I think we all learned that basically testing is king. And for the non-founders that are watching us today, when speaking about strategies, sometimes it can take up to a month or two to get it up and running, maybe if not more. So a failing one, really takes a toll on us because we put a lot of efforts and time into it. So sometimes as founders, we go like, you know what, there's no way that this strategy wouldn't work, and it just ends up not working. So Sandra, I'm sure you've got a couple of strategies that didn't go as planned. Can you share with us, your first flop that you truly believed will work and didn't end up going as you thought it would go?
A good question to start off with, which is pretty much the basis of the podcast. But I guess for me, this is something that I've been wanting to say for a very long time since we spoke about this podcast. And we never really did it internally because this is something that I personally don't believe in, just considering my background of how it transitioned from marketing to advertising marketing into the tech world and all of that. But I see it happen quite a lot and very often online. I mean, I'm sitting here and already I've gotten like 3 messages on LinkedIn of it happening, which is outsourcing your customer acquisition. And I believe that is probably one of the biggest things that I would highly recommend founders be more involved in. It doesn't even have to be a founder in all honesty. It could be your head business development or maybe someone of head of marketing. But one of the biggest issues that I've faced or that I've seen happen is we did look into it once. And the reason for that is because we just wanted to automate a lot of the relationships that we were building and establishing. We didn't continue with it because eventually it starts becoming a bit of a template for a lot of the companies that you outsource to, right? They just copy paste. Sometimes they get the name wrong. I get a lot of messages of people offering to sell me services that my own company offers, which, for me in my mind, I'm like, well, I probably would have worked with you, but just at least look at what I actually do and get my name right. And then maybe we can
I
carry
would
on
love
the
to know what you
conversation.
answer to these people. I would love to know what you answer to these people.
Honestly, in the beginning, I used to ignore it. Sometimes I would just be in a mood during the day and I'd reply back with something very smart assy. But other
Yeah.
times it's just now I just don't really have the time to get into it. But it always gives me a nice chuckle because when we're going out there selling services, saying we build metaverses and XR technology, and then I get a message saying, "Hi, my name is so and so. We build all your metaverse needs," and I'm like, "Did you even bother reading?" And I've had so many people reach out to me saying, "Hi Sonia," or "Hi Sophia," or "Hi whatever," and I've always gone back and said, "Sorry, she's not in office today," or just something like that. But
Yeah.
the main point that I want to make is there are key parts, especially in different. So when you're kicking off your go-to market, there are different areas of customer acquisition, right? You have your first customers. They're usually the genesis ones, the ones that are the ones that you pretty much learn from. You kind of either pivot or you do updates, and then you move on to the second part, which are the ones that eventually become the ones that you build a relationship with. They engage with you, and then they kind of refer people into you, and then they kind of transition into becoming lifetime users of whatever product you have. Now, for me personally, I would always advise and suggest that as a founder, you are involved in the first stage of this, and you actually are involved in writing the template of outreach, looking at the market, breaking down the industries that you want to go after, and actually, looking at this more as a ruling rather than just selling services. A lot of people nowadays just think if you outsource this part, it's going to work. If they come back with a report saying we sent 15,000 emails, or we reached out 15,000 people, and then I don't know 100 replied. But out of these 100, chances are these people are also trying to sell you a service. So
Yeah.
realistically, they're not even people that you're going to have as clients. Conscious of time, I would say that that's probably my biggest point that I would have want to make today for everyone, which is know what you can outsource and what you should and what you need to keep internally and you take control of, because that plays a very big role in the success of your business.
I was actually watching a video yesterday by Y Combinator, and the video was about outsourcing your leads, and there was one key point that they've mentioned, which kind of reflects whatever you just said, which is, even if you get a lead that is not qualified, just run away from it, because probably that lead that is not qualified is going to waste a lot of your time, it's going to waste a lot of your resources, and most probably it won't convert. And that was quite interesting, because usually as a startup, I mean, most startups they're so hungry for leads, and they're so hungry to generate revenue. But yeah, I mean, it is hard to let leads go if they're not qualified. And they've mentioned something specifically about qualifying your first lead during the first call and not selling during the first call. And I love
Yeah.
this.
We let a lot of leads go, in all honesty, as a company. Sometimes even we let clients go in the first phases. We would do a scope of work with them, but then we start to realize that there's a bit of miscommunication in how they want to approach things internally. For us as a business, we sometimes need to take the decision of, do we see this being an ongoing relationship, or is this going to kind of waste our time? Not that working with anyone is a waste of time, but sometimes you do have to take into account that the cost of putting in your team to get on calls with them is worth more than actually keeping them on what they need to deliver. And for me, I truly believe that in the landscape that we have right now, understanding the market that you're in helps a lot. A lot of people that I know personally, again, not us, but a lot of people that I know personally came to Dubai in specific, and they expected that investors were just going to throw money at them because they had a great idea. But what they didn't know is that Dubai doesn't work that way. The GCC doesn't work that way. You need to have coffee together. You need to know about each other. You need to ask about their family. You need to sit down and eat food. You need to actually have a product that appeals to the longevity of the country rather than just what it is you're doing. So I saw a lot of people come here with ideas for a startup. They had a runway that probably lasted them for like 6 months because they got caught up in the lifestyle of Dubai and running events and all. And then that was it. So it is a balancing act, but I think as a balance, it comes down to knowing when something is worth following through with, or when it's time to let it go and just move on.
That's interesting. Thank you, Sandra. Sorry. we'll go to Sumit now.
Okay. All right. So I'll share my flop. It's a big one. right? We invested a lot of time and stuff in this. So
I'm recording. Yeah, how big is it? Just to make sure.
no, no, no. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
go ahead. Go ahead.
everything is public. And a lot of people who are involved, or some of our actual customers, they also know about it. So that's fine. So how big is it? We Antifragile have a tool that it sells. Its name is myleadfox.com, right? So it's literally, we scrapped the whole world's like data who are running shops online, right? So for example, you can find out who is selling cat food in Florida, right? Choose country US, state Florida, check cat food. It will tell you all the shops that are selling cat food. So we built this, right? And this is a great, you can say, lead generation tool for companies who are involved in e-commerce by any chance, so that they can check out like what's happening. It's a data as well. It represents and all. So this is the use case. Now I'm like, okay, we built this. It's selling, but I want, again, customer acquisition. We want more money. We want to get more customers in so that we also can learn from it and increase revenue. Of course, why not? So I'm like, okay, how do I manage the discovery part? How can more? So the one who founds us subscribes to us and stay. We are good there, right? But people who don't know about us and know maybe a bit of our competitors, they once they know about us, they unsubscribe them and come back to us. So I'm like, wait a minute, we have a discovery issue, not a product issue and all. So let's solve the discovery out. So one night I was like, okay, what people might be thinking, what I have, what I can do. So what we did, I created permutation and combinations of each platform, each city, in each country, in each category. I'll give you an example of it. First permutation combination. Shopify stores in United Arab Emirates. There are two variables in it. One is Shopify, next is the country, right? If you remove the variable country, Shopify stores in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. So now there is one more variable came into it, that's city as well. So store name,
Mhm.
city, country. Now imagine how many cities are in the world in all the countries. So there are these many blogs that we wrote stating to this particular keyword and this particular search intent, and we already have that database, so we will pluck out the top 10 shops in this particular search category or less than 10 and put it on that shop. So that's one. Now next is apparel shops in Dubai. If someone is searching for top apparel shops in Dubai, I want to have a list. So we had like maybe 2000 2300 categories. So all these categories now permutation combination to the city and the country. So, in short, we created 12 million web pages in one
Oh
night.
wow. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
12 million web pages in one night. It took a lot of computation power. It took a lot of, you can say, once we started, it should not break and it should keep on doing. So, we started at that point. In 3 4 days, the blogs were died. Now the next part is, okay, how do we get it indexed on Google? Right? Because Google is a crawler and we want to prioritize our indexes and all that part. I'm like, okay, I checked the APIs, how Google provides, and I'm being like completely onto it that if I even don't know about it, and whoever is listening to these flops and all, don't be afraid of flopping at all. The more you will flop, the more you will learn, right? So in this process also, I was talking to a bit of, you can say, friends here and there and SEO experts that is it this or not, and but when they get to the number that 12 million blogs, they were like, how will you even make it? Then I'm like, leave that to me. Can I do this? Is it okay? Google will not punish me for this, anything like that? Like, no, I don't think so. So we did it. We submitted
So
all the
Sumit,
blogs.
just to understand here where you're at. So you've already aggregated 12 million Shopify stores or even other stores other than
Others,
Shopify,
all,
right?
all combined, all combined.
All combined, right? And you haven't launched yet, right?
No, it's launched. It's launched. It's live.
It's launched. Okay, so you're live. All right.
It's live. It's live. So it's called My Lead Fox. So
Yeah.
then we build all these parts, submitted it to Google. In the first, you can say 3 weeks, search is going to spike up. I'm like, this is working, right? And we even started to get customers because, and imagine someone is searching in an agency like, okay, Shopify, how to find Shopify stores in Colorado or Dubai or New Delhi, Lebanon, anything you search about it, we are on the top. And once we are on the top, they are identifying us, then they are going into the sign up phase and all that flow, right? It worked for three weeks, but we did, so it was working for 3 weeks perfectly. Then I'm like, it's getting again the founder's pinch. We have created 12 million blogs, but only 10,000 of them are indexed. What if we can index like 100,000 in a week? So we created more accounts on Google's API to push more, and so that our indexing is fast. So again, indexing was fast, but after 5 days, uh, like in short, Google got to know about it, and they're like, guys, enough, done. And the whole indexing that curve was going up suddenly came down in just 2 days, right? So now then like till one, then when it happened, I'm like, okay, it was going nice, but I wanted to accelerate it more. It blew up. That's fine. So that's how we blew up like this 12 million blocks that we have written. They are still there, right? They're still getting the traffic, but the way maybe I was expecting it, that okay, get around 1,000 visitors per day, because in the whole world, all cities, anyone searching in this term might be looking for this, right? So we can get it. So, and we got like 500 to 600 visitors per day on these search results when it was working. Now it has stopped working, but so far, so now the pages that are top. So what I learned from it is I should have indexed the pages only that have, you can say, a bit more volume than generic. Like long tail, I should have left it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when I leave the long tail out, and now when I look at my own pages, there are about 110,000. That's it. So now our focus is on that 110,000. That is working the way it should work. And now we are getting like 10 to 12 free signups a day on my lead fox, right? Then we put it into a different churn. And the one part that Sandra just like mentioned, that people don't know to whom they're talking. Like I also get the same DMs in my LinkedIn that we build MVP in 3 months. I'm like, dude, I built the whole damn software in 1 month. Like you don't even check my list of softwares for that. So with this perspective as well, what we built internally now is, if you go and free trial on any of Antifragile softwares, right, it will learn what you are trying to do on it, and based on your activity on the free trial, it will outreach to you. So now this is, you can say, a complete learning phase from the flop, that okay, now we are getting 12 free trials. How to first we qualify them, are they going to buy or not? So we have a prompt inside our system that checks the activity of the user, right, and decide from a rating of 1 to 10 how likely is going to buy. Once the rating is above 7, then there is a different stream to it, again automated. And if the rating is below 7, we try to see that if the same user will come back or not. If they come back, we increase their rating. So this whole automation part that's coming is coming from the flops.
Let me just go one step backward. So when it blew, when it blew up, I mean, number one, what could you have done differently? So you've already mentioned that about not, feeding feeding Google,
Yes,
with
we
all
created
the
like
12 million.
we we literally created 188
But
Google
did
profiles.
you end up solving this? Did you end up solving this really
Yes,
quick,
yes.
or did it take? Did it
Yes,
take?
yes. Let it index
Okay.
automatically. Don't force it. For me,
Okay.
again, for me and my category of part, don't force the indexing. Let it.
Okay.
That's my learning, and maybe this learning may improve with time. That okay, if you want to force it that way, not this way. But so far, don't force it. And by forcing it, I mean don't create 200 accounts just like I did.
Yeah. I've stumbled upon many founders, that somehow got luckier with SEO, luckier than other founders because of the nature of their business, right? Because they had so many content, they had so many backlinks in order to make their product work, and because of this, all right, it somehow gave them a leverage, and I feel like you're the same case, right?
Yes.
Because you had all this data, it somehow gave you a leverage on top of that.
On,
And
on,
how
on
long
this,
did it take? How long did it take for you to see? Because you've launched, you had 12 million, you have launched, and then after a couple of days, it blew up. And then how
no,
long
no,
did it take, all right, to just see?
the impact.
Yeah, just to see how long did it take for you to get back on track, basically, and get back on track to the number that you used to get, basically, once you launched.
Okay, so earlier I was getting 2 to 3 signups a day,
Yeah.
right? Now I deployed this for 3 weeks. I'm getting 30 to 40 signups a day, to which we are converting.
Yeah.
Now, when it stops, it goes back to 3 to 5.
Okay.
Right? So it's not a, can say, destruction process that I lost what I was doing it before. No, no, no. It go back to 3 to 5, but then we started to do things right. Now it's increasing. Now it's like, if I'm like, when I was checking, I was to get on the right number. We got like 12 signups today on my lead fox free trial. Out of them, one is
Okay.
converted. One is converted.
Okay.
So that's how it works. So, but how do we realize the impact? It took like us 2 3 days after we saw in our Google console that, oh, traffic's gone. Then we got to know about that. But yeah, but in
Cool.
the start we did not have 12 million. We had 8.9 million only, because when we initiated, then it keeps on growing because we keep on scrapping on a monthly basis.
Got it. Got it. All right. Cool. Thank you. Thanks, Sumit. Youssef, will go to you now. Like I'm quite into like I'm so deep into SaaS. Sumit's work is SaaS and tech and all this, but when it comes to metaverse and EV, it's something that generates so much curiosity with me, because I haven't really tried any of these spaces, so I'm quite interested to see and listen to what are these strategies that you've actually used and didn't work for you, because just as a reminder to everyone that's actually watching us here today, I mean, these are strategies that eventually didn't work with us. However, it doesn't mean that it will not work for everyone, because a lot of strategies fail due to so many factors. Sometimes it's the sector you're in. Sometimes it's brand equity is a factor. There's plenty of factors. So just don't take 100% and just close the door at it. All right, but just be inspired. This is the whole point of this live talk, just so you can be inspired with as much information as possible. So Youssef, I'll hand you the stage.
Tony, actually, what you said makes 100% sense. So, for our case, for example, the biggest flop during, I'll go back a few years back to Insable, the first personal finance application that we built. So, before an EV, we built a venture after the crisis in Lebanon and everything that went wrong, from the banking crisis to the explosion. Uh, and at the time, it was like my last year at university. After graduating, I wanted to create some sort of impact. And I thought that by building startups, you can actually create a big impact in the country, where you can get money from outside, put it back inside Lebanon, and employ other people, so that everyone, like my friends, my relatives, the people I know, they wouldn't leave.
I
And
think we all thought that we
yeah,
were at this stage at some point in time.
I tried it for like a year and a half. You were building Insabel, and I think the biggest mistake was choosing the industry. Today, I'm working on the EV sector. Like in Lebanon, we don't have a lot of EVs, but the challenges that we are facing in Lebanon are extremely similar and even worse to what other European countries, more advanced countries, are facing. So it made perfect sense to use Lebanon as a pilot market in order to test our technology, to test all our theories, and from Lebanon we can scale it outside. During Insabel, we instead of building something for Lebanon, we were building something for UAE. So the personal finance app would help you by connecting different bank accounts. If you're a UAE citizen or resident, You can link your bank accounts and you will get insights compared to how much you're making versus saving versus also spending, and it would help you like make more money in a sense. But by going end consumer and fintech, we noticed that making money is extremely tough. So we had one chance to make it, build the product, which we spent around 6 months to a year building it, and even we tried like doing some guerrilla marketing where we would go to the beach in Lebanon, have a tent and take pictures of our marketing campaigns, and even tag the IFC. Like we tagged FinTech Hive and the IFC a lot of times. Luckily for us, we got a meeting with them, but
Uh,
because we are in the like in the end consumer fintech sector, it was extremely tough, and the region isn't ready yet for end consumers. And as a startup, what I've learned is if you're building a strategy like and you're counting on investors to come, probably they would never come. So I ended up wasting a good amount of time trying to fundraise. Then after not getting a yes answer, going back and optimizing the product, then I would go back and try to fundraise again, knowing fully well that we can't really scale to the UAE because geographically we're in Lebanon and we're very bootstrap, we're very minimal on funds, so every dollar would count. Uh, and and like the guerrilla marketing can work, but to a very small extent if you're in a if you're in a different location. So I would say, like, for the first time founders, choose the right industry. I think B2B for me is the right answer. Like at RenEV, what I did actually, what I've learned from the B2C experience at Insabel, I directly fixed it at RenEV. So instead of building the technology and spending, I'm not sure, like months building the technology, I just drew some Figma designs. I understood directly. I did some market research. I understood the technology, the market, what the businesses are looking for. I studied the Lebanese market and I noticed that there are around 20 charging stations that are installed all over Lebanon, but they're basically non-operational. I did some more research and discovered that these charging stations, they're meant to have a software where you can operate them. So I did a Figma design. I took that Figma design to the owner of these charging stations, which is a big petrol company, and I was able to sell them the design. They signed the contract after 2, 3 months of negotiations going back and forth. But once they signed, and it was clear for me that there is someone like a big institution that is willing to pay money, I was like, now it's time for me to build the technology. And I'm fortunate that my partner Isa and the team, they've been incredibly supportive, and they've done an amazing job. Like during Insable, we did an amazing job on the tech side, and even at Renovi, we're doing an amazing job on the tech side. So that's it. Like that's the biggest flop I think during my first venture at Insable.
speaking about first ventures, because when so I mean, Founder Connects is my second venture, and when I was with my first venture was a social media platform in the States, and what we, I've read so much, about building your MVP, prototyping, and all these things. All right, but the thing is, I didn't realize that as a founder, I was actually blinded by my vision, and because we get so excited, we tend to build and actually get too serious and grow it before we even launch it. So, but as a second time founder, all right, like it literally took me a click of a button just to put everything together and actually launch my second venture. And we have around 145, I think it is today, or 146 members inside our community, and 80% of them are pre-seed and seed. And I think out of this 80%, approximately 55% of them are first-time founders. And I tend to jump on a call with most of our members, just to understand that, because Sandra has mentioned that previously. Your first people, all right, whether they're clients or free users or whatever they are, your first people are the most important people. And I've realized, they always, because they're first time founders, they always try to raise, all right, within this very harsh
Environment.
competition, all right, and two, with a very very short runway. Now, if you have a very long runway, all right, I'm with you on that. But if you have like a runway of 2 months, 3 months, I'm like, don't even think of raising. Just, don't even waste time doing the fundraise. Just, focus on the business, generate revenue, let it, increase your runway, and then hopefully it will allow you to give, it will actually give you more time to fundraise. Another thing you've mentioned about B2C and B2B, right? So yeah, I totally agree on that. B2C is a burning money machine, right? So, but yeah, I mean, if you have it, if you have the capabilities, B2C is beautiful, but B2B is beautiful when it comes to building a business and generating revenue in a faster manner and all these things. Cool. Sumit, shall we go back to you and speak about the second flop?
Oh, this one is a bit embarrassing, but okay, I'll go with that.
Again, I'm
So
recording. I'm recording.
no, no, not that embarrassing, but yeah, embarrassing as a tech founder. So there is a tool again, another SaaS. So I'll give you a context. I was sending proposals to to whom I outreach as a prospect, right? In PDFs, as in emails, right? I had an idea that I'm spending so much time on the proposal, putting it down, all the T's and I's. I'm like, I just want to know that when it was opened, how it worked, and this and that, and I want to send it as a link which represents my company. That
Mm,
means if I'm sending a proposal to you, I want to send it as doc, or let's say proposal.antifragile.ai. I don't want to send a Dropbox link. I don't want to send any link that is some other company. You are a big client for me, right? I want to show you that, yes, we do have the tech. We know how to deal with the tech. So first I looked out in the market. Then we come across that nobody is giving the CNAME functionality with all the features that I was looking for. So we built a tool called FlipLink, right? So
and sorry, that client was actually looking for that technology, so you just
no,
wanted
no,
to
no, no.
impress.
I was sending proposals to the clients. I
Mm,
wanted to send a proposal that I would say track or know, so that I can make the sales call better. That okay,
okay.
if the proposal
Okay.
was even opened, if opened, what was read, what was not read, just a kind of information that will help me in my next sales call with that prospect, so with that enterprise prospect or so. I'm like,
Okay.
okay,
You wanted to
nobody's.
own the data, basically.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, let's build it. So we built a tool called FlipLink. Okay, so we did two flops in the ongoing process of FlipLink. One is we built it like the flip books that we used to see online, right? The You upload a PDF, it will convert it into flip book, right? There is I didn't know that there is a huge market of that. Okay, I get to know that so many people want it as a CNAME part. Like, okay, they want to represent their own company in their links and documents when it goes. I'm like, all good. This is going good. That tool made like more than $100,000 in, like, let's say, 1 year, right? That's how it went. Then I'm like, okay, let's outreach, because if this is my ICP, I already have 1,500 users who are paying for it, right? Let's churn it out, get it who they are, and start sending emails and start outreaching, right? So I started doing it. In that process, while when you run ads or do anything, there is a simple process that you count it as age bracket, right? To
Okay.
whom you want to sell. So I chose, of course, like 25 to, let's say, 40. I chose this particular area and started running ads. 1 week, zero sales. I'm like, wait a minute, these people are not even leaving the platform. They're using it daily. And when I'm showing it to them, we changed the creative, we changed the audience, we changed everything, but we did not change the age, right?
Mm,
And this information of age, I did not knew like how old my users are. I just knew their email. I knew what are their activities and their businesses. That's all. I did not knew the age. I'm like, something is wrong. I spent like how much? 8,000, 9,000 dirhams on this campaign completely. Then I'm like, there is something very wrong that I'm missing. I went back, right? And then I started to, I'm like, okay, the data is not giving me the right information. Let's have a Zoom chat. So I put on the top banner in the tool that whoever logs in sees book a call with Sumit, right? For a few tips and tricks. I got 10 calls, right? Let's say I'm just making it out like 10 calls. I got more than that. I got 10 calls. All 10 of them were like old people, old customer, more than 45, 50. Even I had a one gentleman from Washington, D.C. He was 85 years old and using my software. So none of my age bracket that I was looking for would be keen to use the
So,
flipbook card. No one was using it. And
so
this
you're
how
you're literally targeting the wrong audience.
but from my point of view and ideation that who will do the C name, who will send the
Yeah.
proposals and documents and in the flip book, and then I get to know that all 10 of them 50 plus. I had a call
That's interesting.
day before yesterday. There is a guy named Peter. He's my customer. I like when we had a conversation, I showed him the tech and all. He owns an agency and he's 55. So that particular product, FlipLink, is made for them only. Then once I know it, how I solved it first, I started targeting people who are of the right age for that software, right? Why, how I leave it out of the window, I don't care. That's the right audience target. That's what I'm doing. Now it's generating well revenue. On top of that, I'm like, then why like our age group, let's say 25 to 40 professional people who are into sales and marketing want to send document, why they are not using it? What's wrong in it? Then I got to know that the name of the tool is called Flip Link. It does have a document capability, but the moment you get into flip link, your general monkey brain thinks like you are flipping, right? And
Hmm.
people did not want to flip, right? They want a document tracking software. I'm like, okay, I like literally made a copy of flip link, named it as a doc link, right? And removed all the flipping parts from the flip link, right? Retained all the features of FlipLink and created it a plain document which you can share with all the trackings and bells and whistles of FlipLink. Now, see, these are two ICP examples. FlipLink is resonating with those people. The same product without Flip is now being used
It
by
resonated with younger.
yeah.
Okay,
Now
that's
real estate
interesting.
agents are using it because when you send a PDF to your let's say prospect as a real estate agent, it's a 40 MB PDF. He has to download. Then they will watch. They will not know if they have seen it, not seen it. Now they are using it. Doclink, and all doclink age group is below 40.
Interesting.
That was
Sumit, sorry, just for the sake of time, because we still have two more
yeah,
flops. So, I think that's quite interesting, and because you literally copied pasted, the actual product and just changed the name, and
yeah,
it,
isn't it?
it just immediately resonated with a
And
with a younger
and my
generation.
other
So,
users know about it. That's also interesting. They're
mm,
like, no, 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 we don't want doclink. We want flipping. I'm like, all right. The color of money is the same if it's coming from FlipLink or if it's
yeah, yeah,
coming from
right, yeah.
different
Yeah, that's
ICP,
true.
different messaging, different target. So yeah,
That's true.
that's
That's true.
my
Now, it's not an
recommendation.
easy thing, by the way, to do, because it might be a bit easier for you because you're actually whenever you're building SaaS softwares and maybe even mini SaaS softwares, and then you're selling 10 at a time, it might be easier for you to change names. But when it comes changing names to startups with partnerships with a lot of things that already has some kind of history around it,
Yes,
maybe it's a bit harder, sorry, to do that, but
yes,
it's still
it
quite
is.
an interesting approach.
Right, right.
Thanks for that. Sandra, Sandra, I wanted to ask you a question, because you're a
Yeah.
metaverse as a service, right? And eventually the sales cycle is probably much longer than any other sales cycle. How long usually is the sales cycle, approximately?
I've had sales cycles that have been for 2 years and we still haven't
Two
closed them,
years.
and some that
Wow,
have
wow.
some that
So,
have been for 3 weeks and they've been closed. It's whenever you're doing something that has to do with technology where I wouldn't say what we're doing is cutting edge technology. The metaverse has
Yeah.
always existed. People have always had virtual worlds, from Habbo Hotel to Second Life to, whatever. We can sit down and keep listing them. The biggest bottleneck or the biggest issue that my industry faces is that we are in an industry where you're going to clients who are still trying to figure out the change between how Gen Z and Gen Alpha want to accept the brand or a product and
Yeah.
how they engage and interact with it. And on top of that, we're coming to them and saying, look, we can offer you a platform that is different from a website. At the end of the day, for me, a website, I wouldn't say it's stale. We're never not going to have websites, but we now have the technology where we can add more engagement, incentivization models, digital assets through ownership, through the blockchain layer. And it just provides more avenues for brands to connect with the end user. One
Yep.
point I also want to make quickly is that a lot of brands right now need to shift from being product led to being engagement and interaction led, because and I can look speaking very quickly about the luxury industry, right? Previously, luxury was all about the craftsmanship, the quality of work that went into it. A couple of weeks ago, Dior was caught out selling $60 handbags for like $3,000, $4,000. The only thing that luxury has to offer right now is the experience that it can give. And the way you can translate this experience is through, for us anyways, a virtual environment where you're constantly interacting with a user, you're constantly building a community at all touch points, whether they're on the computer, whether they're on their phone, whether they're
Yeah.
in a shopping center, at the airport. So our life cycle is very different, and our acquisition is completely, I wouldn't say blown out of proportion, but it takes longer to transition a B2B, because we are a B2B at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We're not an open world because we do build product. We're a tech company. At the end of the day, we're not like Roblox or Decentraland. So our what do you call it? Our journey to actually win a client is longer because a big part of it is education. Then there's the strategy, then it becomes the tech part of it. So we have to go through many phases to eventually get to a scope of work that has everything included in it.
That's where I
Did that
wanted
answer
to
your
ask you
question?
because, yeah, actually, I didn't ask the question. I'm gonna ask right now. So this is
Okay.
what I wanted to dig into because for instance, when it comes to B2C or even other B2B products, whenever the sales cycle is much shorter, it allows us and gives us the opportunity in order to optimize much faster and try to understand, how we can increase or forecast basically better, right, in the shorter term. When it comes to you, since the sales cycle is much longer, what are the strategies that you've put in place in order to make sure that it doesn't hurt you much? Because I'm assuming you're talking to 10 clients, and I know when it comes to the metaverse, blockchain, and even NFTs, there was a huge part of it. Like you said, it was all about education, and education takes a lot of time. So how did you count for these things, all right, and still was able to optimize and generate higher revenue and all these things? Because for us, within like a month or two, all right, we already can gather a lot of data. For you, you need a lot more time, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So one thing that we apply internally and we make sure that we stick by it is I tell my team to not have anything that has user profiles. We try and stay away from anything that has to build a user profile. So a lot of people in marketing would usually build, this is who we want. We want someone who's between 35 and blah blah blah, lives here, does this, buys here, does
Mm,
that. In the day and age that we're in right now, this doesn't really work, and it doesn't apply. You can have two it's very similar user profiles, but they can be completely different in their user journey. So one thing that we did, which worked for us, is that we split our attention towards industries. So we have, I'll list them out for you. So we have fashion and luxury, we have travel and tourism, we have sports and entertainment, food and beverage, government organizations, automotive, and beauty and lifestyle. And what we do is we kind of focus around where these different industries are, where do they start from? What is the main point of interaction, right? Because if we're looking at travel and tourism, people aren't going to, they would have three different stops, for example. One would be either Expedia, one would be the flight in general, so Emirates, Lufthansa,
Yeah.
Middle East Airlines, whatever it is, or it would be one of the third parties, like I said, Expedia, Booking.com is more for holidays, but Travel X or whatever it is. So we look at where the user journey would start and how we can elevate that and make it better for the brand. And then we go up to the brand and say, look, this is what you're doing now, this is what you could be doing, and this is how we can make it better. Now, a lot of people, when they look at the industry that we're in, I mean, I can say this very honestly, it's not like we have a strategy that works 100%. At the end of the day, we every day need to pivot or change some of the things in it because, we started off looking at the luxury market, but luxury last year was very much into the metaverse and very much into the hype. Then luxury suffered quite a lot. Luxury is still our basis. This is still the industry that we're after. But we have clients who are cigar brands. We have beverage clients, alcohol and just normal regular drinks. We have travel and tourism. We have government entities. So it's not like we have a set focus, but where we've been able to succeed has been in our approach in making sure that we cover the initial touch point of where a user might interact with this brand or product and where they might drop off. So generally, a big part of that depends on the brand or the product or the company, giving us this information. Through the technology we have nowadays and through a lot of our research, it's very easy to understand where this happens, right? Previously, people go to Google if they wanted to get reviews or know anything. Now, our first point of stop is either YouTube or TikTok. If I want to know if a certain product is worthy or not, I would go into TikTok and put its name and see what the reviews are, or I would go to YouTube. I no longer go to Amazon.com or go to Google. So the whole cycle has, in a sense, shifted, and we're moving alongside it as well with new technology. So it's not as easy for us. One thing that we can implement that has worked is we try to shorten the life cycle of a scope of work getting signed off. So if we feel like it's going to take extremely long, then we cut it off. Now, that kind of contradicts what I said about 2 years, but in saying that, you need to understand that that is a conglomerate that we're working with. So when you're working with Richemont or Kering or LVMH, these things don't get closed in like a day or two. They take a long time because you have shareholders, you have a lot of shareholders, you have a lot of people who have a say in what happens. So it really depends on who you're dealing with.
True. So I mean, for the other founders that are actually watching and are B2B with a much longer sales cycle, what would you tell them about something that you've done and you would actually tell them not to do?
When you feel like you're being dragged on with one of the clients, just actually cut it short, because sometimes we've gone above and beyond. We've created pilot environments, we've done scope of work, so we've gotten on calls, gotten the tech team involved and everything, and then they'd usually come back and being like, oh yeah, this is great, we just need to get our chief financial officer involved and all that. Whenever you feel like it's starting to dwindle on and they just want to keep a relationship, just cut it short. Again, there is no strategy that I can give any advice on, because at the end of the day, every business is different, right? If you were to put me in any of my co-speakers' shoes right now, my approach would probably be different. Mind you, I learned a lot of what I did before I got into the position I am. I wasn't always the CEO. I started off as the chief commercial officer, even though this idea was my strategy, but I didn't want to be the CEO until we discovered later on that, well, I was the best person to lead with it, and then we made changes internally. Again, it always just becomes kind of you need to learn, you need to trial, you need to learn. But one thing I would say is that time is extremely important. And there's this thing passing around Instagram that I've seen quite a lot of people shared it, which is a Japanese quote about, I don't remember it, but something about, if you get on the wrong train, get off on the next stop because the ride back is more expensive or something. I don't know. I've seen like 6 people share it on Instagram, but just probably seems a bit, it seems like something that I should say right now, because the longer you kind of delay taking a decision, the more it'll cost you in getting your team aligned and focused again.
Yeah, because I think, Youssef, you're in the same boat, right? Like your life cycle is quite long as well.
I am. It is actually quite long. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sandra, thanks again. Youssef, we'll We'll end it with you. That will be the last fluff for today.
Actually, like I enjoyed Sandra what she was talking about because like it's something I'm still guilty about doing, which is procrastinating when it comes to sales. So because they are very long sales cycles, usually I would often um, like not forget, but just procrastinate on a certain client, move on to more serious, probably clients, then go back to the initial client. Like procrastinating on clients is something I've been doing, even though like all of them are serious. It's just like some clients they take longer to close than others, and me as a person, I like the patience. So it's always good to have patience when it comes to dealing with clients in order to be able to at least at the end of the day get them on board and make them like ensure that they're utilizing your technology. Another
It
big
seems you have a
problem,
long.
yeah,
Sorry, it seems like you have a long runway.
exactly. I don't. But here's the thing: we're confident about what we're providing as a service, and we're satisfied with our clients. And right now, because we're a small team, and we're not VC funded or anything, so I need to make sure that every client or every market expansion we're hitting like the right spot. Because like let's say I'm entering a market. If I do a partnership with a big entity and this partnership goes sideways, go in the wrong direction, it might cost me a lot in the long run. And I can't afford it. So it's better to act like a bit slow and ensure that we're on the same page rather than
Yeah,
rush. Even though like the whole mentality of startups is build and move fast, but because we're not VC funded, I can't risk it in the long run. Um, Also, another point, and it's something I noticed like going back to my first venture, it was sales equal to money, collecting money, and sales does not equal to customer to user validation. It's a big problem that I'm noticing, and I always notice, even though I was aware and I've read like a lot of stuff online. I've heard about a lot of interviews. Like I've watched a lot of interviews, and yet I still fell in this mistake where a user validation does not mean sales. Unless a customer is willing to pay money for your solution,
that's
uh,
so true.
it doesn't mean you have a client. But once they're paying,
Yeah.
then you can definitely say, "Hey, I have a client, and let's test more with them and validate more and more." Or else, I think it's just a waste of time. Um, yeah, I guess that's it. There's a lot of stuff to discuss. I'm not sure because of time, but one last thing is the region we're currently operating in, whether it's Lebanon. Like I'm from Lebanon, and it's 1,000 times harder to build from Lebanon something than outside. It made me learn how the true difference between what's a painkiller solution and what's nice to have. Honestly, if anyone like if they want to test something, I suggest to go to these markets where they need to validate their idea and see how much clients are willing to pay and what kind of painkiller it is. And if it is, actually, they might have a good chance to succeed outside
Mm.
Lebanon. And that's why the ecosystem in Lebanon right now is lacking because you need to come up with something truly a painkiller for other people to pay, unless there is no need for your solution. What works in the US might not be replicated easily in the region because of different
Yeah,
criteria like
culture and
purchasing
yeah.
and culture and all of that. Yeah.
Cool. Interesting. Well, I think that was our last fluff for today. Thank you all for sharing all these fluffs with us. It's been an inspiring session, and I hope the audience actually gained as much value as possible, and hopefully new connections too. So before we wrap up, I would like to just end it, with something really really short. Um, when I always repeat this because it has a dear place in my heart. When so it was the story with Steve Jobs, all right, when he actually returned to Apple in 1997. the company was just months away from bankruptcy, but with just focus, innovation, and a dedicated team, he just simply flipped it into one of the most valuable companies in the world. So remember, basically every challenge is an opportunity in disguise, and this is something that I love a mentor has shared with me in my previous venture. So keep pushing forward, stay connected with our community, and let's continue to support each other. For those that are interested to join our community is free to join, and we do have a freemium model basically. And if you want to maximize the potential, we have a paid package for that. And I appreciate you all for joining us and watching us as well. Remember, follow all these great founders that are with us today as guests, their pages, and connect with them. And I hope to catch you at our next one. See you.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. See you.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.